Where you found the ambiguity amazing, Jim, I found it lazy.
Really?
Until I realized it had to be that way.
This is the Untitled Film Project Podcast, the highly anticipated and much talked about before it came out. Civil War is the movie we're discussing today. A journey across a dystopian, maybe future America, where military embedded journalists are trying to get to the White House while factions are fighting. And what we learn about the country and what's happening today, possibly shown on screen. Is it a mirror on America? Let's talk about it. And we have a big question.
The big question today is a little fun because in the movie, as you know, if you've seen the trailer or whatever, or you've seen the movie, hopefully you have if you're watching us, Texas and California are aligned. In what crazy world would those two factions of people come together in harmony and fight for? That is the question.
Right.
What is your silly reason Texas and California would join forces and become a thing?
Going in, I think everybody was curious if things are going to get explained to us on the why, right? We didn't know. We saw a war movie. We saw a little bit of the journalism side, but I think everyone was wanting to know the why.
Yeah.
We didn't get the why. And I'm going to be curious to see what you guys what your take is on this, because I don't think there's a right answer for a lot of this. And that's what Alex Garland is doing, right? He just wants people to talk and to drive discussion. And just like in the movie, how they say, we shoot so they talk.
Yes.
That is exactly what the movie's accomplishing as well, because I don't think anyone's going to have a correct answer on things. And that's the beauty behind it. Enjoy is the wrong word to say. I appreciate the message overall. Once I started thinking about it more, I was more okay without having definitive things. At first, when I first walked out of the theater, I was frustrated because I wanted a little bit more. I wanted some more explanation. But the more I digested the movie, which is why I'm glad I didn't have to give an instant reaction like we typically do for a screener, because I wasn't able to attend it, I appreciated the film more because the journalistic take on things and what journalists are going through, what they're sacrificing for, but also how a story's trying to be told about, one, war's bad, you don't want it.
Yeah.
As much as some people may say, we're ready to go for this belief or whatever belief, it's bad. And what it does to people, what it does to society is detrimental to your future, to your person, to your mental capacity, to everybody around you. And this movie shows how it affects people differently. We see so many different segments of people throughout it, whether it's that shop owner where they're saying, there's a war going on, right? Yeah, but we just try not to think about it. And then when you look up and there's snipers all over the place where they're trying to ignore that war is going on. No, it's there, but they're just hiding
one of the most
it.
Powerful scenes.
And that just gave me goosebumps going, oh. And then you have the entire other side where there are people with a bulldozer and in a mass grave.
Yep.
And how people react differently, because war does that to people. Mm-hmm. War changes you as a person, and you don't know how you're going to react to war. It's really bad. And I was uneasy. Yeah. I was uncomfortable the entire time, which means it was accomplishing its goal, because you're not supposed to go to this and enjoy it. If you enjoy it, then you have other things going on in your life, but you're meant to digest this, to talk about it like
slowly.
We are now. Slowly digest it and to see what's going on, and even sacrifices that are made by journalists that we see in this movie at the very end as well, too. Yes. So it was a very curious and intriguing film. I appreciate the message through it. I appreciate what I watched. I don't know if I can watch it again, and not saying I can't handle it, but I feel like I got what I needed out of that from the message that Alex Garland was trying to put out there. And it's not the message people are trying to say or think that was going to happen, which is this side bad, this side good. We didn't get that because we weren't meant to get that. And I think we even talked beforehand saying, I really hope we get something that's not like Top Gun Maverick, where we actually get who the enemy is and why.
Where it's ambiguous.
I'm okay without being explained to why, who and the why of the enemy. The enemy is, you don't want this to happen in your world or your country.
The enemy is war.
The enemy is war.
Yeah, I agree. I can't add much more to what you just said because you expressed my thoughts very well. I think, what this movie really showed is something that we forget about. Even, a country that has already had a civil war. But, I remember from school, it's okay, The worst thing about civil wars are every person that dies in that war is your countryman. Every person, no matter what side they're on. And it's horrible. So this movie, I think, brought that back up into like, this is for real, like not, like people, keyboard warriors getting all bombastic about like, we got the barbarians are at the gate and we need to be barbarians too. And we need to fight and I'm ready. No, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I thought that was like one of the big takeaways of this movie. And I love that usually his movies and this movie left me talking. I went to the movie by myself. I happened to see a group of other people, like 5 people, in their 20s that were walking out of the theater and they were talking about it. And I said, hey guys, I really enjoy movies and I review them. Can I join you? And we talked about it. And that was I think great. It was this slow digestion of the movie. And there were no definitive answers of who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. So yeah, that's, I really made it, I think, a really good film for me.
I have one thing to say, and that is that Alex Garland's Civil War is the most intense film of 2024 and might be the most intense film in the past 5 years. I mean, it's so incredible is a strong word because we'll get to scores later. But I left the theater silent, got in my car in silence, turned my radio off, and drove in silence. Got home, texted my wife, and said, "Well, that was intense."
Yeah,
and that was all I could think about was how intense it was.
Tension,
because you didn't know what was coming next or what was going to happen.
No, I mean everything from the mass grave scene, which was, I mean, just wow.
Yeah,
it's one of those things too. Like that's so as a creative, right? You think, oh, well, of course, the mass grave, that makes perfect sense to put in a movie like this. But when you see it and it's done the way it was done, it was just like. It brought you back to like Holocaust and like if we had color high def images of that, and somebody really fell in it was just like, and that's quite a feat if you're trying to tell an entertaining story. When I don't mean to dumb down, I'm just saying entertaining like it's a movie, right? So you want to be entertained to some degree. That's what I mean. So you're trying to tell this story and to have this hit you on the level of your soul almost. Like it's just so deep. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's not for everybody, but it's intense.
Yep, it's not a popcorn movie.
No. Matter of fact, what's funny you say that, Jim. I had somebody behind me get up twice to go out I'm assuming just to go to the bathroom or whatever.
Sure.
And both times, I found myself just disgusted. Like to the point where I was like. You told us about A Quiet Place one time, about how somebody came in with a big old bucket of popcorn and they started eating. And then all of a sudden, like 5 seconds in, they were like, oh, I can't do this. And they left the theater with the giant bucket of popcorn untouched. Yep. That's what it was like. There was like this air of like, don't make any noise in this. And so when this person gets up twice, it was almost like you are ruining. There's nothing going on, but it's so heavy.
Especially if it's a recliner theater where it's...
Yeah. Which it was, by the way.
No, you got to have that pleather action on pleather.
All right, so let's talk about what made this movie special. I think the performances in this movie were spectacular. I really liked Kirsten Dunst's character of the veteran journalist who, breaks down more as the film goes along, accompanied by, the wannabe photojournalist played by Kaylee Spaney. She's terrific, who is starts with that naivete and then starts to get the grit and the idea of what a put your life on the line photojournalist does and kind of takes that from the other character. That was a great interplay there. There were so many small performances that were great. the fashion shop owner, Jesse Plemons.
Jesse Plemons.
Oh my God, does he know how to make your muscles tense? Yes, he does. He's one of the best at it.
And he's only got one scene.
One scene.
That's it.
But it's memorable. And he's even in the trailer.
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's how good he was.
Yeah, that's how good he was.
And because he had the line, "What kind of American are you?"
Right.
Which really sums up the whole curiosity part of
and,
for sure.
And to have Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons acting opposite each other in that scene as well. They're married, if you didn't know.
Yes.
So that's always curious right there. But I mean, he even made my muscles tense in Jungle Cruise. Because I mean, he's good. He's so good. He's so good in those types of roles as well too. Great. Not saying that's what he only needs to play, but when he plays those small roles and he makes an impact.
There's very few people who do it better.
Absolutely. So yeah, Kaylee Spaney. We saw her in Priscilla, which go hate watch that episode.
Our most watched video of all time.
Yes,
for a reason.
Which she is giving so many great vibes of the roles she's going to continue to get, because this is a great role for her. Priscilla was great for her. It's giving me Florence Pugh in terms of how her career is going to start projecting into great roles where she's going to have a good choice.
But not a household name yet.
But not a household name.
Right.
Like it took a bit for Florence Pugh. Like you'd recognize her, you'd see her and stuff, and then she hit Marvel. I think that I want to say that's what jumped her, but that jumped her into the general population.
Public consciousness.
Yeah, public consciousness is what it did.
The
that's
industry
not the reason
knew her.
why. I mean, she was great in the Marvel stuff, but she's been great in so many other projects as well too. But that Dune, even though very, very small, getting her in the public eye to become a household name.
Yeah.
Kaylee Spaney's, I think, on that route to get those types of roles, because she has a face to where she could play young or even older. I think she's getting to that point now where she can play somebody still upper teens, but she can also play late 20s and getting that point.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah.
Because it's really funny you say that. I thought her character, I thought like the kind of twist we were going to get with the character, not that we necessarily need one, but in the theater, I remember thinking, she's so like young puppy dog with Kirsten Dunst's character. I thought and then he drops the line when she gets in the van, like, well, she's 23. I thought they said that for a reason. She's going to end up being 16 or something.
Yeah.
Kaylee Spaney can play that.
Right.
She could be a young adult or dupe the audience and she's actually 16, 17. Her character's actually 16, 17. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actively thought at some point we're going to find out that she's a teenage girl.
Yeah. There's just something about her and the way she carries herself that you can't pin down. Yeah. And it's delightful. It's
going to lead to more roles.
Yeah.
Like that. She's really, really great on camera.
All right, it's time to score Civil War, a movie that did not turn out to be what a lot of people guessed it would be. I'm going to throw my score out first. I just think this is a terrific movie in that the way it was done. It defied people's preconceived notions, and people had opinions about this movie. And there are people that will not see this movie because they already think they know what this movie is, but they don't, because trust me, it surprises you. I thought the performances were great. I thought the ambiguity was terrific. Some of the shots were just amazing. Scenes that are pieced together as they try to get to the White House when they're pinned down by a sniper and they don't even know who the sniper is and what side they're on, and they don't know who he's trying to shoot at, the military guy they're sitting there next to. They don't know what his side is. Like, all of those things, it just showed the craziness and the horror of war, especially a civil war.
It was at a drive-through Christmas thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing that just said it right there. Like, they're getting shot at, and you have like, ho, ho, ho.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, it's creepy. It's the uncanniness of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And juxtaposing those things, I just thought made it like just really terrific and a great think piece. I love a good think piece. I'm giving Civil War an 8.0.
Okay. I can go next. I thought it was brilliant directing. It's okay, again, on paper, right? Hey, there's photographers, and they're going to be taking some shots. That's the whole point of the movie. So we want to make sure we put the still images on the screen. It's a real easy conclusion. I could have come up with that. but the way it was done, in the volume that it was done,
Thank you for bringing this
urgency that it was done was so great. It brought it to the next level because they didn't have to do it. They could have just had a still shot, and then maybe the person taking the shot could have been frozen in time, or they could have done it so many different ways. It was awesome. It was awesome. Where you found the ambiguity amazing, Jim, I found it lazy.
Really?
Until I realized it had to be that way. If they do it any other way, they're immediately dividing the audience, and whatever faction is on the wrong side, air quotes, right, has now tuned out the movie. Now, even if they do get through it, they're not watching it. Now they're stewing in their own personal baggage.
Right.
So, therefore, I think that it's the only thing they could do. But I would be lying if I said when I left the theater, I thought, wow, that was unfulfilling, because I thought there was going to be, but the story wasn't the dividing issues. The story was the fact that the country was at war. It's relatable because it's our country, and because of all these different things that have happened all over the world. They put them in America, and then, of course, the story is the photographers trying to document it all, okay? So I just want to make sure that's very clear. I was lazy until I realized they couldn't do it either way. As a media member, for those who don't know, by the way, I've been in the national media sports landscape for about 15 years. Bradford shared some as well. Jim, of course, has been top 40 radio forever. So as a media member, I felt a lot of pride and justification watching this. I felt like people are finally going to get to see why we do what we do. I understand that there are 15% of us that go out for shock value and they have the different motives. I totally get that. But the majority of us get into storytelling in whatever way you want to do that. News, TV, radio, print, whatever. To tell stories and to capture these amazing moments. And this movie put that mission and that philosophy and that mentality for all to see in the best way possible. It was so great. That being said, they couldn't get Pedro Pascal, so they got Wagner Moura. It was
a poor man's Pedro Pascal.
He was so vanilla. There was nothing special about him at all, to the point where he was completely forgettable until Jim had said something earlier in the show about characters. I thought the characters and the acting was great. I was like, oh yeah, I had that note about Wagner Moura, and I had to write that down. That's how forgettable he was. I'm coming into this prepared, and I forgot he was even in the movie. It was not good. Now again,
he was outshined by everybody.
Kirsten and Kaylee.
He was not bad. Okay, I'm not saying he was a bad actor. You put him in something else, I'm sure he's fine. A rom-com, for example, a Lifetime movie, he'd be great. But in this particular thing, he just was so just there. Okay?
Yeah. He was definitely outshined by Stephen McKinley, who played Sammy, the veteran journalist.
Yes, he was.
Who was, older, and
he's incredible.
That was great. I don't think there was room for Wagner Moura's Joel.
He's almost like on a death wish because he wanted to get the quote no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But he didn't bring that
right
urgency to the table. Okay, so, and I'm talking about Wagner Moura, not the character. My last note is, this is Kirsten Dunst's best performance as Elizabethtown. I am not a Kirsten Dunst fan. I've been tired of her for decades. Not because she's done so much work. She's only done like 2 things since 2017. But I mean, tired of, like, she's a Spider-Man, and then I was like, okay, you suck. And then she was in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. She's the only bad part of that movie, in my opinion. Everything else is brilliant.
I did not expect this turn.
Me neither.
But so Kirsten,
Power of the Dog?
I came in, no.
Okay.
So I went in thinking like, oh God, Kirsten Dunst. Right, okay. And she turned me. Again, I'm not a fan, but I'm saying, I was like, okay. She did exactly what she should have done. She brought the emotional response, everything. She was great. So her best role since Elizabethtown, I have to give Civil War an 8.0. Do I think it's better than Love Lies Bleeding, for example, which I also gave an 8.0? Yes, but not by much. So
okay,
they're also different movies.
Yeah, no, sure,
so radically different.
But when I score movies, I have to look at what else I've scored.
I know, but I would never question you on that.
I can't put a 7.5 on this and then go back and be like, oh well, I like that. I like this better than that. And that's what I did with Love Lies Bleeding. So 8.0.
Okay.
Okay, Bradford, what do you think?
I mean, I think we're all kind of in the same boat here in how much we appreciate what we saw on screen, the direction behind it, the acting performances. I said my piece for the most part at the very beginning on what I appreciated of this movie. Again, it's difficult to say. I can't say enjoy. Enjoy should never be associated with this movie.
No.
It's appreciating the content that I saw and the story that's being told. And again, from the journalism perspective, obviously, I've only been in sports world when it comes to that, or higher education, or even healthcare. That's the media side that I've been on. I've never been in a war zone, let alone a tornado or a
I'm not trying to
hurricane
suggest
zone.
we have.
No. But it puts in perspective what those journalists do to tell that story to make sure the public is informed.
You're right.
And that's the importance behind it too. That we have people. There was one reporter. She covered the Washington Capitals. Isabella Khashoggian, I believe.
Yeah, that's her name. Yeah,
she was covering the Washington Capitals NHL team. She became a war reporter. It was very interesting to follow her on Twitter.
Wow.
And see the change in how she was covering war. Not in the U.S., obviously, going to Middle East and just seeing that. But it just shows the change in journalistic qualities, too, and the sacrifice she made personally to be able to tell the story so people knew what was going on. This showed ultimate sacrifice. This movie showed ultimate sacrifice to be able to tell the story, to show what was going on. And you could tell they're trying to showcase, too, how they're trying to be very much zero bias, unbiased in everything. They're here to cover. They're here to do the work.
Get the story.
Which is what
the work.
we are told.
Yes.
When we learn how to be journalists in college or high school or whatever, that number one rule is you are unbiased.
Yes.
Which, of course, unfortunately is not the way the world is, but that's what we're told.
You do your best.
You have your thoughts, you have your opinions. And again, they did a great job with the journalists not even showing what side believed what.
Yeah.
They were literally just there to cover it. And so I think Alex Garland did an incredible job of making sure you don't know what each side believes in a very good way. He did that. It was incredible at that because you could let it slip. There's so many different ways throughout this film that could have let something, an inkling of things slip, whether it was the journalist or the president saying something or one of the people that's fighting saying something, one of the snipers saying something. There's so many ways they could have slipped and could have had something in there. They didn't.
How easy is it when you're getting in an emotional argument with your spouse or your sibling or whatever, your kid, whatever, and it just comes out?
You bring a personal belief in.
Yep. And so Bradford's absolutely right. In an emotional situation, especially towards the end, you easily could have had somebody tip their cap to whatever they're...
Yeah, a tip of a cap, and it could have been one of those...
Yeah,
right.
They didn't.
Sure. Nope.
Great job not even doing that to make sure, like Gover said, the audience is not going to just separate because of one thing happened. They're not going to disassociate with the movie because one little thing slipped. They didn't let anything slip.
And, they didn't let those slip for the characters in the movie. And the characters in the movie were going through the same thing. They didn't know the people they were encountering. A simple encounter of, let's stop for gas in a small town in Pennsylvania turns into one of the most tense moments of, can we buy gas here or are you going to kill us?
The dollar's no good.
They just don't know.
Canadian.
Canadian. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was a neat twist. Like, that means more.
And that's another twist, too. We don't know what's going on with the rest of the world.
Right.
I mean, you think if the United States of America has another civil war because of the age we're in with technology and everything, how's the rest of the world going to react to it? How are our neighbors to the north and the south going to react to this as well, too? They've briefly covered it, very, very briefly covered that as well, too. It's going to affect the whole world. And especially our neighbors. So all of a sudden the Canadian dollar is worth more. Are people fleeing to Canada? What's going on with Canada? What's their take on it? Who do they side with? We all know in the War of 1812 and even in the Civil War, you had European countries taking sides because of selfish reasons of what they thought could happen to the U.S. That would happen as well, but they didn't even get into that. And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
It just makes me curious in the world building perspective because then you get into Fallout mode.
Right.
Of what's going. I don't want a sequel to Civil War. Trust me.
Right.
It just makes me curious to think of the what ifs and what's going on here, which is all part of the discussion. And that's what I love about a movie when it's able to do that. And we're not arguing. We're just literally having a discussion because we don't know the right or the wrong. It's beautiful. I also give it an 8.0.
All right.
Oh, unanimous.
Yes.
Wow. Straight 8s.
Yep.
Nice. Bet that.
Very well done.
Okay.
On every episode of the Untitled Film Project Podcast, we ask a big question, and today's we're having a little fun with it because, as we've discussed ad nauseum, Civil War did not say why the sides were fighting against each other. We were left to our own devices on that. And so therefore, we're going to get a little silly here because California and Texas are a unified front in that movie. And with Texas being ultra conservative, stereotypically, of course, and California being stereotypically, of course, ultra liberal,
Progressive, yeah.
ultra liberal, progressive. Thank you. In what crazy scenario would those two states come together, join hands, sing "Kumbaya," and say, "Let's fight together"? Bradford, let's start with you.
Okay, so Florida is the enemy in this, and
Yeah.
there's a reason.
Old people. Sorry.
The Burger King has been creeping on too many people. And Whataburger and In-N-Out are sick of it.
They've had enough.
They've had enough of it. They find a way to get past their differences, and they unite against Burger King, which people are like, Burger King, what about Burger? No, Burger King's still pretty big. And it may not be big in your area, but people still eat it. They're still the Whopper.
Right.
And that King is just known for creeping up on people, showing up in your bedroom, just handing you food on a tray,
Right.
handing you a sandwich. You didn't ask for that.
Giving you a blank stare.
What gives you
a
the
smile?
right to do that, Burger King? What kind of king are you sneaking up on people? We didn't vote for you.
I like it.
You don't vote for kings.
It's a
Monty Python reference. Dover.
but I love it.
Come on.
This harkens back to the American Revolution.
It does.
We reject kings.
And then you have In-N-Out, California, Whataburger, Texas. They're like, you know what? We gotta take care of the king. We gotta take down the Burger King. If they get together, you have Dairy Queen going, but we need burgers too. Stick to your blizzards, Dairy Queen. Whataburger and In-N-Out.
I love
against
this
Burger King. And
take.
they take it on. They take it on, and as a battle, that is your Western front. Because you have people that love In-N-Out, love Whataburger, but they don't typically agree on things. So that's the shock around the world, is that In-N-Out and Whataburger join forces to take out the
They
king.
have allied, yes. Oh, that's a great take.
Can I go
like
next?
that.
Because
Yes,
mine is
please.
really lame compared to that.
Oh, so is mine. Mine's,
Okay.
yeah, you're going to forget everything after Bradford's.
Yeah, that was. We could probably just end it here. Actually,
But we
mine
won't.
is mine is sports related. As
Okay.
I'm celebrating the Calder Cup playoffs here with the Milwaukee Admirals, of course. California has a lot of pro sports teams.
Mhm.
They have a lot. They have a lot of basketball teams, baseball teams, hockey teams, football teams,
And ones that move out.
and ones that move out as well. Vegas and Texas also has. They have they're not a lot, but they got the Dallas Stars, they got the Texas Rangers, Houston Astros, blah 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 blah. Okay, they got some sports teams too.
Yep.
In this crazy scenario, that is not funny nor clever after Bradford's.
Just silly.
Yeah, they are tired of traveling across country when the only competition is in their two states. So they come together and they're only going to play each other. Next thing you know, sports is a very passionate thing, and so the rest of the country turns on them. There you go. See, not as good as Bradford's, but that's
But then you have Arizona and Mexico going, hi, hello, family. Spring blowout sale.
get back in your place, Diamondbacks.
You're going to Utah, Coyotes.
All right, mine's really dumb too. I had an idea and then I realized logically it fell apart. And so I'm rejecting that one.
Just
and
like the Union of the United States.
Exactly. So I'm going to SpongeBob. SpongeBob and all the characters are real. If you watch any SpongeBob movie, you're going to see a lot of flowers, and it could be based off the coast of California. And then there's Sandy Squirrel, right? Who is a loudmouth Texan.
Yes.
Every time she speaks, she tells you it's bigger and better in Texas. But she's somebody I could see maybe they elect governor of Texas, and she sides with the people that she's gotten to know in Bikini Bottom,
Catalina Island.
which to me is kind of between California and Hawaii, and that's how they team up and they fight the rest of the country.
I feel like Jim's story was just clicking the next arrow. And what's the next predicted word?
Look, we told you it wasn't going to be as good as yours. You led off with a home run, so
Yeah.
Just remember, you came up with this idea right before we recorded, and I just had to run with it.
GPT 0.5 worked on mine,
Jim BT.
Yeah. More clever than my answer.
We want to hear about what is your silly, crazy reason Texas, ultra-conservative Texas, and ultra-liberal California would join together in Kumbaya and come together and say, we're going to fight together.
Keep it goofy.
Draw a line in the sand. Yep, draw a line in the sand, keep it goofy, and
Bring
let us know
silly.
what the reason would be for these two, that was almost like countries, two states to come together.
I mean, they have been.
I know.
You weren't wrong.
Nope.
Their economies are the size of some countries. Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Also on social media. Check out our website, UntitledFilmProjectPod.com. Go watch the movie, then come listen to us. We got a lot of great movies coming up.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.